Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So this week, we are exploring books that deal with music. There's some awesome nonfiction, we have some fiction. For some reason, as I was pulling the books for this week, I got in a trend that there's quite a few books here that deal with musical theater. So, because that's a part of music too, like Broadway musicals and yeah. So, we have a great mixture of books today that are all inspired by our love of music. So let's get started. Our first one for this week is Jukebox. Now, 12-year-old Shaheen and her father have always bonded over music, but lately things have been kind of strange between them, especially on the end of her dad. And something's just not right. And then one day he just disappears. Now, Shaheen has no idea where he's gone, so she enlists the help of her cousin Naz, and they decide they're going to go look for him. And they find out the last place he was seen was at this record store. So they venture to this record store. They go up into the attic to see maybe there's a clue or he's up there. And when they get up there, they find this mysterious jukebox. And the thing is, though, when they start to look for clues and they start kind of shifting through the records on the jukebox, whichever record ends up playing, Shaheen and Naz find themselves transported back in time to the time period of that specific piece of music was created. And they soon start to kind of piece things together that maybe Shaheen's dad is somewhere inside the jukebox, and they're gonna have to figure out what time period, what record has he been literally sucked into before his time runs out. This time traveling mystery graphic novel is one that would have you exploring all different types of music. Maybe some you've heard of, maybe some you haven't heard of, and you will be in your own little personal jukebox as you are trying to help Shaheen figure out where her dad is, while also exploring and maybe starting to love some different types of music. This is Jukebox. Our next one is Sarai Saves the Music. Now, Sarai loves being in band, playing the drums as her instrument, and it is what she looks forward to the most in her school day. But one day there's some bad news. Due to budget cuts, not having enough money to do everything in their school, her school has decided they're gonna have to stop some things, and they decide one of those things is going to be the band program. Sarai decides she needs to do something about it because she does not want the band program to be stopped and she doesn't want to be cut. So she gets her friends together who are also in band, and they decide they have to start raising some money. So they decide they're going to do a benefit concert. And when this benefit concert is recorded and the video is posted online, they start to get more attention than they ever could imagine. And it may or may not save their beloved program. Now, this is a part of a series that's inspired by the events in the author's life. This realistic and humorous look at things that happen in all of our lives at every one point or another is something that everyone can relate to. This is Sarai Saves the Music. 5, 6, 7, Nate. So, theater geek Nate Foster finds himself in New York City, where he's always wanted to be, and he has a job on a musical theater, an actual musical theater production. It's going to be E.T. the musical. But he doesn't care because he has a job finally. And he has a role in a musical theater production on Broadway. He doesn't care that it's an understudy part, which means he's probably never going to be on stage, but he has a role and he has a job. And he thinks all of his dreams are about to come true. This is just the beginning. But things are just as crazy in musical theater world as kind of real life, as there are power struggles, there's personality clashes, there's these intense practices, and everyone's all emotional, and then there's even this fast-paced rehearsal schedule, and there's really no time for him to breathe or do anything else. And as Nate starts going through this process, and then his role starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, he's going to need to figure out what he wants out of this experience and for his future in musical theater. This is a follow-up to Better Nate Than Ever. You don't have to read that book to understand this one. This can work as a standalone, but there are some storylines and characters that do transfer over from the first one. So we have that one, it's called Better Nate Than Ever, but this one is all about his journey now in musical theater. This is 5, 6, 7, Nate. Jack and Louisa, Act 1. So Jack Goodrich grew up being a child actor performing in Broadway musicals. He had a couple of roles, in smaller type things, and from a young age. And just as he lands his first lead role, his voice changes. And because of that, he loses that role, plus his job opportunities start to get smaller and smaller and diminish, and he doesn't know what he's going to do, and he ends up hating musical theater. He wants nothing to do with it. So when his dad gets a new job all the way in Cleveland, Ohio, Jack finds himself living as far away from musical theater as he can probably get, given, the fact that he can only go where his parents are going. And he wants nothing to do with theater. No one knows who he is, doesn't have to answer any questions. And that is until, though, student Louisa, who's also in his class, sees him wearing a musical theater production shirt of Mary Poppins, and she loves musical theater. She's a professed musical theater geek. And she starts then kind of trying to get this friendship going with Jack. There's someone who lives this dream that she loves. And soon Louisa starts trying to implore Jack, ask him to join their community musical theater production of Into the Woods. And Jack is going to have to make a choice, not only about his role in musical theater and what he thinks of it, but also with his friendship with Louisa, and as well as what does he want out of this new life and new opportunity he's been presented away from New York City. So this book has friendship, musical theater, there is some drama, they have to make some family choices, and it's all about figuring out how to be true to yourself. This is the first in a series. This is Jack and Louisa, Act 1. Where is Broadway? So this is all about the section of New York City which is famous for its musical theaters and plays known as Broadway. You may or may not have heard of it before. If you haven't, this is all about it. So this will take you all the way back to the beginning. The when and the why and the people who've influenced it and how they built these theaters. Some of the theaters are amazing. They are gorgeous inside. And then it goes all the way through the history of the people who created it and influenced its growth. And it will walk you through some of the most famous musicals which have graced the stage. Some of the ones maybe you've heard of before. Some of them have been turned into movies. They've even done ones that were movies into musical theater productions now, stuff like Lion King, Mamma Mia, Phantom of the Opera, one of my personal favorites, Cats. Yeah, and this will also get you into what's going to be coming up next. So I will tell you this, if you love the Who Was books, sometimes they're called the big head books, the biographies about who was all these different people, you will love this series. This is an offshoot of that series. There is the Where Is, there's also What Is. Love this series. Highly recommend this one. I learned a ton. This is Where Is Broadway? And our last one for today is the roots of rap. So this is all about the history of hip-hop. Who and what got it started? What are the inspirations, the history makers, some of the famous individuals and groups who have made it what it is today, from James Brown to the Sugar Hill Gang to TLC and Queen Latifah. It takes you back to how poetry started this movement, with the great Langston Hughes providing encouragement and inspiration. It also explores the 4 pillars of hip-hop, from graffiti, rap, DJing, and breakdancing. You will learn everything you need to about the roots of rap, of hip-hop, the influencers. There are some amazing illustrations in this book as well. They are gorgeous, and they will mesmerize you. If you love reading nonfiction titles, especially nonfiction titles that deal with learning about music, this is a must read. This is the roots of rap. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that are music influenced, music inspired, both fiction and nonfiction. So if this is something you are interested in, you want to learn more about, maybe you think you're an expert and you want to even gain even more knowledge, I encourage you to come on out. Check out one of these, or we even have others that are music inspired that we will gladly show you where they are. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight.